the sins of God. Understand? Yes, Father, we give you thanks and praise for your name. We want to thank you for bringing us here, community, to plan and prepare for a program for the village community. In the wonderful name, I pray. Amen. Thank you.
Hold the mic.
Yes. Once again, good afternoon to all of you here. And I'm charged with the responsibility of managing the meeting, being the master of service. So I want to welcome every single one of you here cordially to this first town hall meeting. And I'm confident everybody, regardless who you are, will enjoy the meeting. We'll set some standards. We'll operate on principles. We will not be bashing anybody or bad talking anybody. We'll be looking at the issues affecting the village, and we'll look at some of the solutions that we can provide among ourselves to deal with the issues. And so I welcome all of you once again to this meeting, and that we'll have a very productive and intelligent meeting. Thank you very much. Okay. So the main speaker at this moment is Annie Edwards, and she will introduce herself and explain who she is. Some people say she's not from Marigot, because she's married to David Edwards from Wesley. They say she should run around Wesley. But that is beside the point. If that were to happen, it would be a speech. But anyway, Annie will address you and will look at the issues affecting Marigot and how we can resolve those issues. Annie Edwards.
The other way. Okay, good afternoon once again. And I want to say a special welcome to all of you who have joined us. This meeting is on Marigot and Concord, and I'm happy to see at least 3 persons from Concord present with us now. So I just want to say a warm welcome to you all. And yeah, as I said earlier, I intend to hold Concord's own meeting, but it's great that you all came here. So we'll go straight into the presentation that I have here. As I advertised, we are at a point where Marigot seems to be going nowhere right now. There is a lot of social, economic, environmental decay, a lot of issues facing the community. And I think at this point, we need to do some kind of bringing of the mind, some kind of discussion on where we are and the issues we face and how we intend to move forward in the future. So the presentation I'm giving you here today is more like a teaser. And then as we go along, you will be called upon to give your own views about what you think or the direction you think Marigot should go in the next 25 years. So right now, let's just proceed. This is, as you know, our beautiful community of Marigot. That's the hospital right in the foreground, and the lovely coastline. Now, by way of introduction, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Annie Edwards. I was born in Marigot, attended Marigot Junior School. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Telford Matthew, Miss Telford Matthew and Mrs. Miriam Matthew, sorry. My husband is David Edwards. I have 2 children, Danielle and Anthony Edwards. I see myself as a unifier. That's why I am bringing people together. Some of you all might be strong supporters of the Labour Party, some might be strong supporters of other opposition parties. You might be a strong supporter of the United Workers Party. But this meeting is about bringing people together. It's not about division. And it's an opportunity for us to come together and think of Marigot. Put Marigot first, put politics aside for the time being, and let's think forward about where we'd like it to move into the next 20 years. A lot of people think that this is a strange idea. How can you think for 20 years? But as I like to tell people, the Chinese are the model in planning, and they plan for 100 years. So, lack of planning is what makes our countries, or especially our tiny islands, remain in the category of underdeveloped, while the so-called third world countries, first world countries, always seem to be so much more advanced than us. They develop long-term plans and they stick to their plans. So this is an opportunity to start, and I think once we in Marigot lead the way, other communities will follow, and eventually we'll see real progress taking place. My life, I would say, is one of service. I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Dominica. I've been there for almost 15 years. I'm also, a lot of you all may know me as an activist. I'm very passionate about the environment. So I am a person who will, whenever I see development taking place that will violate the environment, you will be sure that you will be speaking about it. In this, as a Rotarian, we do a lot of service to humanity. This is that picture shows a Vosh mission here, where we gave eyeglasses to Dominicans in general at a very, very low price. So that's basically my life, service in any way possible. Okay, now my journey through the Marigot community started from the time I was a young person, a youth, and then on to even now. When my first major activity in Marigot took place in 2011. At that time, the Labour Party was in power for about 11 years, and I was chief physical planner. I noticed, what was going on. Marigot was just being sidelined. Shortly afterwards, I went to study. I did a master's degree in natural resource and environmental management. And I also did a lot of studies in community tourism. And I realized that community tourism can be used as an engine to drive the economy in Marigot, because it's as you'll see later on, community tourism is based on the economic, social, and environmental aspect of a community, and the people are encouraged to preserve the environment, develop, small-scale industries, develop their natural resources, develop their traditions, culture, and package it in a quality that can attract tourists. So as we go along, you'll understand why community tourism can actually be like a driver replacing what was formerly a predominant agricultural industry in Marigot. Now, I formed that group in 2011, and it is now 15 years old. I worked with a number of men, women, young people, and also, the picture is blurred, but also I worked with local and regional tourism experts. And the vision of that group was to be the leader in community tourism in Dominica. So far, I would say that we are almost there. I think Marigot is ranked either first or second. The other community that rivals Marigot is Marigot, where they have another very vibrant group. So that's a big plus for us in Marigot. One of the projects the first project that was developed was a grant which we got to develop the Sand Bay Beach. Everybody knows Sand Bay was relatively inaccessible. We developed a trail and we also got a washroom facility done there. We also, there was a lot of training in community tourism, business development. We brought down Diana McIntyre Pike, who's an expert from Jamaica. She trained all these people. If you look, okay, it's hidden, but there was a lot of training done. And there was also a gazebo and washroom facility constructed. But recently, the owner of the land actually demolished some of these structures, so they no longer exist. This building, some of you all are familiar with. This is the Marigot Community Tourism Information Center. Right now, a section is being rented out so they can raise funds, but we were able to get a grant of $75,000 from the European Union to build that building, and it's there standing as a indication of what I was able to achieve, what we were able to achieve through community tourism. Since then, I moved on and new persons took over the leadership of the organization, and I'm happy to say that they took it in other directions which are just as commendable. There is one of the projects they were able to get assistance for was the CMOS development project. They also were involved with the Sunrise Sports Club to develop the field, which is just in front of us here. They put in the stands and also some lighting and other aspects were developed there. There's also an aquatic club. There's a monthly bonfire social activity which takes place, maybe not as often as it used to in the past, but it still takes place. Independence Day lunch, which is also an offshoot of Marigot Community Tourism, and also through that community tourism, a lot of relationships have been built, especially with the village council, the credit union, and MDC. So it's a lot of collaboration taking place between the community tourism group and these agencies. They also were able to win a prize. The same bonfire was able to be won, allow them to get the first place for the Community Tourism National Community Tourism Association enhancement competition. So that shows that this group has really done a lot since it was formed. Now, the reason why I called the meeting and brought you all together, as I said earlier, is because I think that we and in Dominica need to start thinking of how we can develop our country and giving ideas to the leaders that we put forward. Sometimes people think that, I vote you and you are the one that can do everything for me. No, a lot of the people that we vote are probably not even as intelligent as we are. So why do we think that they know better than us? So that's why it's a good idea to start thinking about developing our own ideas and putting them forward to the leaders. And these leaders who are in parliament, to maybe ministers and so on, can go and lobby on our behalf. So this is the reason. Now, some people may ask, why should we plan for 20 years? When you planning really means you are sitting here deciding how you want your community to evolve in the future. So you plan it you're actually taking deliberate action to plan the way your community develops. And what it does is it changes your people mindset. Everybody starts thinking in the same way because you sit together and you come up with those plans. And it causes once people hear about this going on, investors, whether they are in the diaspora or even locally, will be more interested in investing in what you are doing. It also create measurable. It creates measurable limits in the sense that at the end of say 5 years, you can go back to when your parliamentary representative comes to you to ask you for your vote. You can say, but look, this is what you were supposed to do over the 5 years. Did you do anything? And you can now go tick out what was done. And if you are satisfied with what was done, then you can say, yes, I can give you my X again. So it gives you measurable, progress. You can tell them, as I say, what you think of their performance. So long term, it's good to plan long term in the sense that people, when you work together and plan, as we are going to do today, you grow stronger. It gives you a sense of direction because you know this is exactly what we want. And it helps attract investors, as I said before, and protects future generations. So the future generation, your children and grandchildren and so on, will know that when they grow up, there will be opportunities for them. But most of all, with planning, it is the communities which must lead. So that's why you have to start with meetings. Today we may not go through the full exercise, but at least it's somewhere to start. And then as time proceeds, we will be able to add on and fine tune the plan better. So you need people in churches, in groups. Some people think, this is a political meeting, they shouldn't come. This is actually a community meeting to help you, to help empower you, to help prepare for your kids. We have to remember now, right now, the entire world has closed doors. You can no longer go to America as you want. You can no longer go to Canada as you want. Some European countries have closed up. Then right now, a lot of people may want to go to Antigua and these are the small islands. But how many of our people can actually go to these small islands? They are smaller than us in size. And when you have lived in a number of these islands, and I wonder, but what do they have that Dominica does not have? Because Dominica has so many more natural resources than these islands. But I think what they have is the determination. These people they think big. In Antigua, Barbados, and those places, people think very big. And that is where the difference is. We always feel, for instance, everybody say we cannot have tourism because we don't have beaches, white sand beaches. No, we don't have white sand beaches, but we have other natural resources. Right now, there's a big appreciation for our waterfalls, our rivers, and all these other natural features. So the time has come for us to take stock of what we have and plan how we can use them to develop ourselves in the future. Okay, so today I'm just going to go through 6 areas for our plan. 6 areas for the Marigot 2045 plan. Yes, you could go ahead, just to break.
One of the things about planning is that someone has to own the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Or else it doesn't go away.
Right.
So, in your delivery, could you sort of indicate who in the region will own that? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'll just repeat it for the purpose of the recording. I'll say that one of the key things about planning is identifying who ultimately owns the plan so they can continue the plan, especially if you're looking at sort of a long-term plan. So I was just wondering whether or not in your delivery you could indicate who you envision would own the Marigot plan.
Yes. So as we go along, we'll discuss that. And if you have suggestions, we can do it. But it's the people who own the plan. But it's how we can put it forward. We have to decide how we're going to put it forward so that it will be respected and will be accepted and everything. So that will come on after. So the 6 areas for our plan, we have economic development, tourism and culture, youth and education, agriculture and food security, community, infrastructure and housing, and environment and climate resilience. So those are the areas 6 areas that we are going to discuss right now. Okay, now Okay, in terms of economic development, one of the things, so these, what I'm putting forward are my ideas, but I want you then afterwards to add to them and, let's discuss and thrash out how we want these things to. So in terms of economic development, the issues that I have thought of are support small business and entrepreneurs. We know there are a lot of small businesses in Marigot, but everybody is just, by themselves. People are not together. What I was thinking is, can we develop something like a business incubation unit? Now, when I was thinking of this and I was discussing with the president of Marigot Community Tourism, who is Jason Robin. He's the person who is running the organization right now. And one of the things he said to me, he said, but Annie, we have Marigot Community Tourism is like a business incubation unit already. Because, and in a sense, that is true because Marigot Community Tourism Committee has a track record. When you are seeking funding or seeking help, you need to have a track record. People have to know that when they give you money, they can trust you. And Marigot Community Tourism Committee, as we show, has gotten money over the past 14 years. You see the size of the funds? And there's no negative or bad record with that organization. When they get the funds, we have a system in place. We have our treasurer and our secretary who signs on checks, and we have a bank account, and we are accountable. And when funds are disbursed, they are done in the way that the project is the project dictates. So, in that sense, Marigot Community Tourism Committee can be thought of as in that way. So, for instance, if you have an organization in Marigot right now, and it's not registered, but you want to do something for Marigot, you want to do something for the community, you can actually, right now, if there's a call for proposal, write up your project and pass it through Marigot Community Tourism. They will manage the funds for you. It will go on the account. They'll manage the funds for you, work with it, just as was done with the development of the hard court with Sunrise Sports Club. And also, so it's two things: management of the funds and disbursement of the funds, and accounting of the like reporting on how the funds are used. So a business incubation unit can actually be implemented right now. And through that unit, you can do training right now. We can get persons, resource people in Marigot or from Marigot to start doing training in business management and that sort of thing. So we can hit the ground running. If you have a business incubation unit, we can hit in Marigot, we can hit the ground running right away in getting funding, accessing funds to the projects. Then we also need to think of how we can create more employment opportunities for people, encourage investment and innovation. If we have the business incubation unit, you can talk to people who would be interested in funding, sometimes people in the diaspora. So, and in that way also, we'll be able to strengthen the local economy. So that's number one. Number two is tourism and culture. A lot of you might think that Marigot is not a place where tourism could take place. But Marigot is actually great for community-based tourism. As I mentioned that earlier, what is community-based tourism? It's actually a strategy that can stimulate growth in the tourism industry. So through community-based tourism, you could actually be bringing tourists to Dominica once it's organized properly. And but to be successful, the people in the community have to pay attention and manage the social, environmental, and economic aspect. So no longer should we be just throwing garbage all over the place or polluting our rivers or destroying our environment. Once you decide, okay, the great thing is that we already have a community tourism group. We decide that we are going to support and move with that group. Then we can start to do the work that will entail making Marigot a much more attractive place for tourists. Some of the things, for instance, we can have things like heritage tours. We have two segments of the Waitikubuli National Trail, you know. One starts from Pegwa to the heights of Marigot, and the other one from that area all the way to Salisbury. Segment 8. So, and I mean, I know since the hurricane, they have not been maintained properly. But that's something that we can now lobby the government to help us to do, to maintain these areas. Then you have our Kokoi dialect, turtle watching, and so forth. So these are just some of the areas. Another important part of that is also accommodation. We need to have people who have, you know, relatively good sized houses, or you might have a small house, but you want to do an addition to it, a small addition to create a little Airbnb. That is something that can be done to bring in people to Marigot. Just imagine we have this big event, Mayfest, an entire month, but most of the people come and leave. If we start thinking, we can think of how this Mayfest can be developed so that Marigot people can benefit. You can organize other things like, for instance, okay, this is not so clear. This is a trail. Trail tourism is a big thing. We can organize during that time, organize trail tourism. So when the people come, they will stay in Marigot even so 1 or 2 days. Where will they stay? In the small lodging. So in the small Airbnb, whatever you want to call it. So those are the things. Everything we do right now, we have to start thinking of how we can monetize it. We have people who have, for instance, you have, what's his name? Faswa. He has a place called Faswa Farm and Campsite. And it's a simple place, but I would tell you that people in these more developed countries, they are fed up of the life they are living. And if we develop a few like this, so we can have a real festival, community tourism festival, these people will come and you'll be surprised just to live in the little cottage he has there. They might want to spend like 500 US a night and so on. These people want very simple, basic life when they come to our islands. They want our local food and so on. But what is missing with this whole community tourism thing is the enabling environment. What I mean by that, it's really not, just think of when the banana industry was in full swing. All the farmers had to concentrate on was planting their bananas, you know. There was a banana association that was responsible for managing the whole industry, for marketing the crops, for shipment and everything. In much the same way, for you to have a really fully functional community tourism, whether it's in Marigot or in other communities, the enabling environment has to be created. And who has to create that? The government. So that's why it's very important to understand these things so you can lobby your government. A government can develop a community tourism policy that enables these community tourism establishments all over the island in our 41 villages to thrive. So instead of right now, they have what is called a community tourism association. But that's nothing. They need to have a community tourism agency. Now, this agency would be charged with training of people, tour guides, would be charged with setting standards. So let's say we get into accommodation, they set the standards because you must have them at a certain level. They would be in charge of marketing the project, the different things that we are doing. Yeah, so they create the environment. Then they can help us set up what is called something like a website where it's easy to access all the services that are being offered. So that's why it's important to understand and educate yourself as a community so you'll be empowered. When you go to your parliament or you go to the prime minister or whoever you go to, you show them the plan and you say, for us, yes, we really want to move on in Marigot, but we need help. We cannot do it alone. And the way you can help us is setting up an agency where we will get assistance. You can, for the tourism accommodations, you can say, for instance, The government can, for instance, say if you want to set up your small accommodation, you can come for a soft loan, or you can even get a small grant to do it. I remember the St. Lucian government had done that when they had the World Cup, and a lot of small accommodations exist now. A lot of people, when they go to St. Lucia, they just stay in an Airbnb. So that's what I call an enabling policy environment. I'm sorry that this is not so clear. In terms of the other area is youth and education. You see, we have to think, I don't know if you're not seeing, but when you look around, you see a lot of young people, they seem to be walking around aimlessly. You know, it's very obvious. A lot of them go on drugs and so on. It's because they have not been provided with opportunities. They left, everybody was educated. They went to St. Andrew's High School and so on. But some people say that they are supposed to be more educated than their predecessors, their grandparents, great-grandparents, but probably they still need that push. So we can start thinking of how can we do a skills training and mentorship program for our kids. Technology and digital learning. There might be opportunities that are available. For instance, I went to a workshop, an exhibition held by the OECS recently, last week, and there are actual opportunities. They are calling on regional people to sign up, go online and sign up for free digital learning opportunities. A lot of us, if I didn't go to that workshop, I would not know. But the important thing is that once you start to do a plan and everybody is thinking in the same direction, when you see an opportunity, you will, publicize it and let the people in the community know. Right now, if I see sometimes I see an opportunity, I send it to somebody I know, but maybe the person wouldn't send it on. But that's what a plan is. When everybody is thinking in the same way, in the same direction, we help each other. We pull up each other, and that, in the end, pulls up the community. Then youth entrepreneurship support, scholarships, and partnerships. Number 4, agriculture and food security. We know that most of our farmers have died out, yeah, but there's a lot of hope for agriculture still. We need to find ways that our farmers can be supported to improve our food security. We buy a lot of junk, I would say, which is not good for us. When we buy them, eventually we have more medical bills. Dominica is a prime place for agriculture, which doesn't use all these kind of chemicals and so on. We can do that. You go to America and you hear organically grown fowls, or you go organically grown cows, and organically grown vegetables and so on. But we have that here. Our cows eat grass. Our fowl chickens, a lot of them, we give them local food. We have the same waste from these farms. People use them to fertilize some of the vegetable farms and so on. We can now in Marigot, we can start to lead the way and package our produce as organically grown. It will have to be supervised, yeah, but organically grown things are very, very popular all over the Caribbean now. All over the world, rather, not the Caribbean. So that is something we can start thinking about. How can we come together and think of setting up organically grown industry in this area? Promote climate smart agriculture. Yes, a lot of young people don't want to go back and bend their back in the sun and so on, work all day. But if they get into greenhouses, they'll be happy to grow the crops under greenhouses. It's less strenuous. An area that I discovered one of these days, which I'm really happy about, is something we can do in Marigot, is beekeeping. They call it apiculture. I found out that Dominica has the best honey in the world, Anybody in here knows that? Yeah, the best honey in the world. And that is because of our verdant forest, the bees leave the hive and they go all the way into the forest to get the flowers and so forth. So that is something that is very. So right now there's a beekeepers cooperative. Once we have our plan, we can write to the beekeepers cooperative, have them. Okay. So hold on now. Yeah. Okay, so yes, I was talking about beekeeping and Dominica's investment in the world. And we in Marigot need to get into that industry. It's easy, there's a national beekeepers cooperative. We could have them come up there and train our young people in that field. Right away, some young people who I heard recently that 36 young people were just laid off. I mean, where are these people going? And then the high school is going to graduate another set. So we need to brainstorm. What is this is all about is brainstorming on how we can help our people and in turn help the community. In terms of community infrastructure and housing, we know that our farm roads are in deplorable conditions. That's one of the reasons why farmers don't want to get back to farming. Improve housing and public spaces. I was surprised to hear that I was told that 70% of the houses that were destroyed by Hurricane Maria are still either dilapidated or partially repaired. That is significant. Also, things like reliable utilities, renewable, and where there's been a lot of talk about renewable energy, especially solar. I'm sorry to say, it is just, we need to help ourselves. It's easy to buy our solar. I mean, it's costly, but we have to think of maybe developing a project where we can bring solar to Marigot. I'm sorry, the cost of electricity just went up. We moved from up by over $60 in the space of a month in increasing electricity. That's with the new geothermal. So we have to help ourselves. And well, safe recreational spaces. We have recreational facilities, but these need to be upgraded. They need to be of a higher standard. And then the elderly care. That's one of the things I'm very concerned about in Marigot. And in fact, right now with that project, the funds call for proposal from the Republic Bank. One of the areas they focus on is the elderly. So one of the things I am thinking of is writing a project to help the elderly, because a lot of people are suffering. They might not have people to help them, or the people might be abroad. And I know, based on the way we have to take care of our mom, taking care of elderly serious business, and it costs a lot of money. So that's something we have to think about. And then the last one, that is my area, environment and climate resilience. We must protect our rivers, coastline, and natural assets. As I said at the beginning, if you want to, right now, it is said that 40 to 60% of the people who travel as tourists, they travel to enjoy the nature and the nature of the island. Look at this young guy. I saw speed, something like that. I never heard of him. But look at how much. He's a black person like us. He's not the regular person you think of as a tourist. And he had so much appreciation for our food, our culture, our natural, I think he went to one of those waterfalls, some of them, and he had so much appreciation. And right now, there is a great amount of interest growing in Dominica's natural environment. People come here to enjoy our nature quite a lot. So we now have to lobby whichever government is there to protect our natural resources. And the way that this has to be done is by laws. There is no law right now protecting our rivers. And we in Marigot can start to lobby, because Pegua River being destroyed is affecting us also. You know, Pegua is a place everybody would go and take a nice bath. There was a big pool, and now we are not even sure if we can bathe there. There is a development right at the mouth of the river, very nice campground, and they're right at the mouth of the river, so everything comes down to them. It's there. It's part of Marigot. So this is very serious. Ensure economic development and environmental protection go hand in hand. Some people will argue that you cannot compromise the development, or you cannot not do development just because of the environment. That is not true. As I mentioned earlier, as I've spoken about, there is a physical planning act which was developed, which was especially to protect the environment. There's a big portion of it that deals with environmental and social protection, and this is done through what we call an environmental impact assessment, where you study the environment, and before you embark on the project, you think about how you're going to mitigate or prevent or lessen the impact of that project on the environment. And this is critical, and this should not be just cast aside, because just think of it. For instance, we are developing an airport for Dominica. What is the airport going to depend on? It's the same natural environment that's going to bring the tourists. So with Fatil Beach being, suffering under that, we'll no longer be able to attract the tourists that would have gone there. So just think of it. You are doing these things, but you have to maintain or protect the resources that have to sustain the development. And that is something that, we need to think of when we are, doing our plans. Protect people, home, infrastructure from climate change, landslide. So we witnessed a lot of landslides in Marigot. One of the things that I would really like to be involved in is really to map Marigot and look at where it's susceptible to landslide. Because we do have maps at the planning department which show areas that are susceptible to landslide hazards, to flooding, and any other type of hazard that can affect us. So part of our work has to be to map our Marigot, show where people should and shouldn't build, or if you're going to build there, how you should protect your land. And we need to think, even when you're building houses, we need to train the persons, our contractors and so on how to build hurricane resilient building. One of the problems we face is that a lot of them cut corners. You wouldn't know, but people who are technical would know. So because they know people are ignorant about these things, they will cut the corners, either buy less of the steel or whatever they have to build, and make the building weaker than it should be. So training of our contractors is very important, and also training of new people to get into the industry. And strengthen existing protections. Yeah, there are some places, the drains. And when I was growing up on the bay, there were two big culverts in that area where the landslide came down. I don't know if they were blocked at some point, maybe when the fisheries department complex was building or whatever. But I remember two big culverts, one right at the corner and one a little way down. And that could have been, have contributed to some of the instability in the area. So we definitely need to look at Marigot and how we can map it to ensure that these vulnerable areas are either protected or they are strengthened, or infrastructure is put in place to protect the area. And so the vision I have, or I want us to have, is that the future of Marigot will or should not be built by chance. We have to sit as a people and plan for the future. We cannot just continue vai. Because as you can see, vai is not carrying us anyway. We are not developing, we are just remaining stagnant. We are not going anywhere. We need to plan for ourselves. And when we start to plan, others will also start to plan. And eventually everybody will be planning. Planning will become a buzzword. It will be built through vision, planning, unity, and action. You must work together. We have to have a unified approach, and through that, we will be able to build the future together. So this is my contribution. Now, I've been talking all night, but this is not about me. This is about you. So in the next segment, I'll be trying to get contributions from you. on how we can move Marigot forward. Now, the great thing is that everything is being recorded, so the information is being stored, and then I'll be able to transcribe and put everything together. So I'll be going back. So the next segment, what I want you all to think of, hold on, there's water there if you all want a little water and so on. We're supposed to have refreshments. I don't know if it's here yet. The questions I want us to sit down and think of right now, you can put on the lights for the time being. What we need to think about, number one, what are the biggest challenges in each of the sectors? There are 6 sectors. I want us to think of what are the biggest challenges we face in each of these sectors. What opportunities are we missing? What would success look like in 2045? And what projects? I want us to come up with some project ideas. It's just 7 o'clock. We have at least another hour. At first I thought that we could maybe do it in groups. I don't know if you all want to do it that way. So we have. Okay, so yeah. Yes. Come up. No, it would be better to come up. Well, there are 6 areas. We could either just come talk together in groups about what we want, or we can do it together. What do you think? Come. You want to? Oh well, look, you have somebody that could help me.
So this is just an idea as it pertains to the community-based tourism. And
okay, so we are into the new area, into the 6 areas now. That's what you.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So exactly.
So let's start with tourism and culture.
Well, it may actually sort of span a couple of years because.
Oh. I'm running. Thanks. Yeah.
So.
So we'll do it together. Yeah, it's not to me. Yeah.
So my suggestion would be, as it pertains to agro-tourism and community tourism.
Yes.
The areas I think, and I mean I have a personal interest in it, but the areas that I think would best
hold on.
support that.
We have a little talking at the back there.
Are the areas in Barrow.
We need to have all the attention up here, please. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So for agro-tourism, the area of Barrow, Tantan,
that area.
That whole area. And not only that, but you also have the white trade. I spoke to the management of the trade, and those 2 segments, 7 and 8, are really underused. As a matter of fact, they're probably not being used at all.
Yeah, because they haven't been.
Very nice section. It would be very easy, relatively speaking, to kick that off because it's already an area that's designated as a tourism area.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's probably one of the areas that we may want to focus on is getting that access road built because that will open up opportunities for all sorts of things. That's my suggestion. Actually, I have another one.
We could go. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So in your Chris, go ahead. Okay. So Chris, yeah, you spoke about the trade.
So the agro-tourism.
So let's think of what are the biggest challenges. Just address. It in terms of what we are saying.
Oh, okay. So the biggest challenges, I guess, is the economic impact that it's going to have. Ultimately, this project will have to be funded. What opportunities are we missing? I just spoke about the fact that the Y2
Ah.
That can be a rotating process. And I think that is a unique thing that doesn't exist anywhere. If we implement that, I think people will catch on to it. So I think that's one thing. So that's an opportunity we might be missing. I understand the need and your plan for that length, that long-term planning. I have a little bit of a concern with it, and that is my personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
The world as we see it right now is extremely volatile.
Definitely.
Things flip upside down in almost no time. A lot of the rules that govern how countries act have been thrown out of the door. More powerful countries can just walk in and do things. These people can say things. Doesn't have to be true. And in an instant, everything can change. Because of that, that is what drives my caution of that length of planning. So that's just that goes.
Yeah. Okay.
What would it look like though if we were able to have a successful plan? We have a vibrant agro-tourism section in an area of Marigot that is almost literally untouched right now. Above the village, the views are incredible. The land is fertile.
What about the ownership?
Sorry?
The ownership.
Well, that can be dealt with. I think we know who owns what in that area.
Okay.
So that's not too much of a problem. What projects can get us to this successful 2024-2045 vision? I'm limiting my response to just the activities that we spoke of. One would be a project to market the two segments. A little late for that, but okay. So what I think would need to happen is marketing. The segments of the trail that are underserved right now, I think a marketing plan or a marketing strategy to address that would assist. Also, if we are able to get a road so that access is easier, that would be a project that would get us to that solution. The other thing, though, that I think, and by the way, tourism in that area, there's all sorts of opportunities here. I'm looking at the land that I have, and I'm thinking a zip line from there all the way down to the other ridge would be awesome. And these are opportunities.
That's another project.
These are opportunities. Airbnbs can be built in that area with spectacular views. So all of these opportunities, I think, need to be looked at. So two would be the road project, revitalization of the Waitukubuli Trail, and then the third thing would be somehow engaging the farmers to have a much more active activity going on, much more vibrant activity. So what I'm talking about is this. If you're looking at agro-tourism, you don't want to be just planting yams and dashing and that's it. Okay, you want to have something that's interesting. What is interesting? Health and wellness. Why not have an area where herbs are being planted with discussions and information about those herbs? So persons can come in, they plant these herbs, and they know that in 3 months, the next set of tourists are going to reap those herbs. And it's a cycle, it's self-sustaining. That's another thing that's very important when we look at these sorts of projects, is how self-sustaining are they? Or how sustainable are they? And that is very important when we look at some of these things. As you well mentioned, a lot of projects get executed, and as soon as the project is over, the funding disappears, the project sits there and nothing happens from it. That's because sustainability has not been built in. Okay. That I think is the last thing I want to mention. Because, if I can just say one more thing, just because I'm in the area of technology, as far as opportunities that we're missing, I was very disappointed at how little technology progress has been made. In Dominica, in the schools, in communities, I was extremely disappointed. After having come here a number of years ago, spending personal funds, personal time, doing all the training that was required, there were successes, but I just thought that there'd be a lot more activity going on in that area. In the area of artificial intelligence, for example, that is a massive area that is allowing all sorts of things to happen. I'm up on my property yesterday. I saw a plant. I had no clue what it was. Pulled out my phone and I said, Google, what is this? And it told me exactly what the plant was. Wow. These are things that we can do. And if we're not aware of these tools, then the opportunities just go zip and they pass us by. So I would really encourage a lot of people when they hear of things like artificial intelligence, they think, oh, I don't want anybody to take my picture and put it on this. Get those thinkings out of your minds, please. We are not going to be able to get away from this. Just see how best we can absorb it and embrace it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Give him a And guess what? Chris is a resource person right there. So once we come together, we decide that's an area we need to give attention. We already have a resource person.
Call me up.
Anybody else wants to talk about tourism, community tourism in particular?
Lens.
On what projects we can start in there? Anybody?
Sorry.
So remember, this is, we're just talking. So if you're shy and you want to just send some information, maybe later on, send some information to me, you could also do that. So whatever you said will be included in whatever plan we have. So the next one we will go to is, we haven't done economic development. So let's go to see what that one entails. For economic development, we spoke about the business incubation unit and employment opportunities, investment, and so on. Anybody would like to talk about business? I know we have a business consultant here. Used to be you. You have to comment. Yeah, like what? Yeah. We have experts, you know, in Marigot. Look. Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, because, you know, put on the lights on the other side. Okay, so discuss it in terms of growth. She prefer to be in the light than in the darkness.
It's dark.
No. Well,
okay.
Put off this one right here. You get it. Yeah. And put on that one, Sandra, the one you just put off. Put it on. She wants light.
Yes, I just
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Good evening to everybody.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity for this important discussion. What I believe, one of the biggest challenges in this area, I think one of the biggest challenges we have is data. In terms of, I don't think we have an up-to-date census. I know the census initiative was launched, but it hasn't been completed. I think the last census that we did, it was far back as 2011. I think that is also subject to correction. And we are in 2026, and we have not completed a census. What the census will do, it will give us information. It will give us the vital information we need in terms of our workforce, in terms of the number of people in our community. If you notice what is happening in our community for the past years, we have lost a number of our community people through death and through migration. Okay? Marigot is losing a lot of human resources. And up to now, we don't have a population number as to what is the exact population of Marigot in terms of group, in terms of youth between the age of 18 to 35. That is the youth is considered young adults. We don't understand the number of employed people in Marigot and also people seeking employment. Because most of the initiatives that have been discussed here, in order for it to be successful, we have to have the human resource in order to execute it. And in terms of the plan, what might happen with the length of the plan is because over the time, the needs of people changes. as the world evolves. So sometimes what might be relevant today, it might not be relevant in the next 3 years. So we always have to revise the plan and we always have to update it. In the absence of data, data is very critical in terms of planning. And I don't know what we can do as a project to find out some very very important information in terms of data because if we do not have the resources to execute the plan, then the plan becomes initiatives we can anticipate will be implemented by our children and our grandchildren because we're planning for the year of 2045. Maybe the year in terms have to be revised. We are missing a number of the opportunities that we have. One of the things that we have a shrinking opportunity in terms of area of finance. We no longer have access to funding that came from the European Union that used to facilitate a number of projects in our area. I know of the Jeff Small Grants program that they normally would have. That is one of the areas we get funding from UNDP. So we have to think about financing. And there are also opportunities out there for financing, a lot of opportunities on the sustainable development and green initiative. And we need the expertise in the area of grant and proposal writing, project management to be able to understand our needs and to tap in and to network in and to tap in of some of the resources that are out there in terms of finance and to be able to access these finances so we can launch a number of the projects. All of the projects that we have outlined, it needs finance and it needs human resource to execute it. Okay? So what I want to say, we need the data to be able to plan. And using a census from 2011 now to plan for the future, it might be future. So how can we get the important data that we need in Marigot? In terms of our demographics, in terms of youth, in terms of young adults, what is the real population of Marigot? Most of us don't know. And from our own informal way, we can see that we have decreasing population in our community. And that is a fact. So that's what I want to urge. We have to change our mindsets and we have to change our thinking. We need as many resources as possible and we have to be able to network with the diasporas as well because there are also people out there who can participate in working with us to launch some of our initiatives in terms of projects that we have on board, but they have to understand the need and that's what we have to be able to communicate to them. We see that, as I was saying, we have a dwindling population. That is why we need to network. We need all our resources on board in terms of human resource and that we can come together and really put ideas and develop plans to move Marigot ahead. Some of the mindset that we have go anyway. But we realize when the shove come to shove and it's a lot of time not get the real people to initiate that action. So I welcome this forum, Ms. Annie, and we hope that when we come together and we can put all our resources together, we can make something happen for the village. And I hope that we can also create something that the youth can come to the meetings and the youth can come to participate and share in the discussion so they can tell us what are their needs and we can better plan with them involved. Thanks very much.
Before you go. Yes, before you go, I just wanted to know, yes, we don't have a census or we don't have information that would have been acquired in a census. But is there some way we can do some simple or preliminary data collection to really inform our work that we are doing right now? Marigot census by itself.
We can.
I would support that 100%. I would actually suggest that we use some of the young people in the schools to carry out the census. Make it a project. If you have people getting involved in this,
come up. That's a good suggestion. So you should come and
I can sit now. I can always
okay,
come.
yes, because he answered.
Okay, so a lot of the work that I've done in national development has involved work with academia, engaging academia and finding out how people can work through academia, either using the students or teaching the students. I don't see any reason why we couldn't set up a little committee, maybe under the village council or something, identify a number of responsible enough students or persons in the village, make them what is the word that they use, the persons who go out and do the census? Enumerators, that's the word, enumerators. Make it a project for them. Make it a project for them and incentivize them to do it. It may go toward their final mark at school or something of the sort, somebody in social sciences. We have resources that we can leverage, and I'm suggesting that we do that census because it's absolutely important. I totally agree with you that we need that empirical data to make any kind of plan going forward. So that's my suggestion. I don't want to take up the mic time too much.
I tell you, we have resource people in Marigot, you know. Everything, we can come up with a solution for anything we want to. Okay, of course, Smiley.
Thank you. In terms of projects, over the years we have had a number of projects in our area. For example, at St. Andrews we had I think 100 or 200 rabbits, and it was to rabbitize the whole of Marigot, training young people and having them have a pair of rabbits. The whole idea was to increase the production of meat in the area with very simple ruminant animals like the rabbit and goats. Antigua at the time, rabbit was going at $20 a pound. And in Barbados, they wanted the fur so that they could make doilies for cars and other things like that. Recently, you see the other thing in terms of project, we need to set up organizations. We need to organize our people into organizations, build those organizations and institutionalize the things that we want to do. And a couple of years ago, we had, for example, the credit union, and we were developing a good thing with the credit union. And we had 4 of our young people trained as pilots. Jenna Robinson was one of them, Alpian Williams, Martin Laville, who died 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And when he died, he was 30 years in the air. That indicates how long we started planning those things. And we're hoping to have aircraft. And we're hoping to have our people do vegetables, thyme, fine thyme, celery, parsley. Those who are going in the region here at $16 per pound, $16 US per pound of celery and parsley right within the OECS. And we're hoping to capture that. So our pilots came in and they brought an aircraft from Puerto Rico all the way through to Melbourne Hall. It stayed on the tarmac at Melbourne Hall for 6 months. And the pilot stayed at Mexi Drone House up at Monkey Hill. And a simple letter to be written by the person in charge of the airport refused. So we ourselves are kicking ourselves in the butts. Another important thing is a young lady who was being working for an organization for some 50 years asked me to give an idea, and I run that idea with her to set up a university school of agriculture for Marigot, using our traditional methods. And based on the scope, it could be as big as Ross or bigger than Ross. We had meetings here with the PTA, we had meetings with the teachers here, we had meetings with the students. I have all of the pictures. We had meetings at the Wesley with Carlotta Dodds. We had meeting in Marigot with Reverend James, and we had several meetings with them there, the youth department or the youth arm of the church, with the men's fellowship, the women's league. And we wrote to one institution, and the people were hostile. We wrote to another institution inviting them to come because we have 3 of the doctors down here. One was a doctorate in business administration, and one who had a doctorate in food technology. And some people wrote back and said, nobody interested in that, you know. And so it is important for us to have institutions like the village council and build those as platforms so that we can fly off. We can't be starting every time like that. We have the credit union. We're supposed to be able to speak to the board of directors and utilize those facilities as a springboard to move the process forward. In terms of funding, we do not have to go looking for foreign funds. They tie up, they take you 2-3 years sometimes. We can use our own financial institution. And what we need to do is to set up a commercial bank. If a commercial bank in Marigot Commercial Bank, we can put all of the savings of the Marigot Credit Union of $70 million into that bank. And we can use the reciprocal formula and we can transfer that and create $1.4 billion. And we can use those funds. And that's what the banks do, you know. We can use those funds to fund our projects. And the key thing now is management of the projects. We need to set up a school. I propose to the credit union to set up a school, a cooperative school of management. We could have it downstairs, the Woodford Hill Credit Union. And we have enough bright people around who could lecture and train at that level. And so there are a number of projects that I've been involved in which I propose. And that is just a few. Another idea to have you kicking. Just 1 minute. Haki Pascal, could you please come in? Hiran? I called in Haki. Yeah. Oh, Kiran? Teacher Sandra?
Okay, now before Sandra, you coming forward? Okay.
Come and talk about it.
No, yeah. Okay, before we move on to Sandra, I was just thinking that, a lot of you might have ideas, but you don't want to stand up. So I have some form to the same questions. I could give you all the forms and you will just choose the area you think you have some ideas in, and just jot down some points on the same thing. What is the biggest challenge? What opportunities are we missing? What would success look like in 2045? And what project? At least if you can just suggest a project that we can, start to think of. So I would just, Sandra, you coming for? Yes.
I can kick off
Which one do you want to kick off?
something that was mentioned earlier on. I remember Annie going up and Carrie, sorry, and mentioned something about the census that is important and we're lacking the information that is existing in Marigot. And Marigot does have youth organizations that are able to do that. We have just established the MyZ, which is the Marigot Youth Zone Initiative. We have 7 zones actually, and we have quite a few young persons involved in that activity. So the interest right now is basically the first project, because when you have a place that is beautified, you feel happy, you feel comfortable. So we're literally taking on a beautification drive right now. But one of the things that the groups have been talking about is getting to know the various sections in the community and interviewing the elderly, talking with the youth, other youth, and that would make a big difference in terms of getting the information that you're talking about. And where we assign the various zones, that same census type form where they go out and get information as to age and interests of people, the elderly people. We have a database in terms of elderly folk, because the Elderly's Activity Committee that's attached to the Marigot Tourism Committee, we are able to track the names of persons within a certain age range that have actually passed in Marigot. Because every year we have to clean the list, sanitize the list, so that we can get people who are actually dead off and bring in other persons. We operating from upper 65 and plus, although we focus on the 70-year-olds and people in their twilight ages. So that part of the data, we have quite a bit of it already over the past 4 years. that we have been doing that type of thing. We also have them, as I said, the young people who are really now focusing on beautification, planting flowers. We had the Zone 1 people, which is Sam's Gutter, Zone 2, which is Monkey Hill, Tupu Hill, Fine Grass, Where's Malatatong, Bull Hole, Piccadilly, and all the other areas for road. We have zones, and these are young persons who are capable of doing and going around to get information that could assist us with a census, a Marigot census. Saying what, Chris? So, but that is part of our portfolio, that is part of what we intend to do, getting that type of information within the community of Marigot. And because you mentioned that we could do it as a project, that setup, that structure is already there and can be utilized to get that type of information. That's basically all I really wanted to say. Ronnie just wanted me to come and talk about Maize. But Maize and the young people are very excited about Maize. And it's not a young people thing, because if you live in a zone and you figure you have something to offer to the group, you can give them your suggestions, you can involve them, you can include them in whatever plans you have for your particular area.
Okay, so most of you got a paper? Oh. So what I'm thinking is that, some of you might want to come up, but if you have some idea, you could just jot it down. And if it's just the basic idea, then we can, in a subsequent meeting or so, we can thrash it out a little more. But you might want to come up here to talk, but you might just have something you can write down. We do have pens and paper there. So the other one, we have agriculture and food security. Anybody is interested in talking about that? Agriculture and food security. Any farmers here? Because you would understand agriculture more than us. Any farmer? He's a farmer. It can farming, it can be anything, Huh? Yeah, good. Say who you are and everything. Ronnie, come in. Holy, look, come. No, I'm just giving you the mic.
Oh, all right. Yes.
In front of the camera.
Well, what I want to say is that there are farmers who are interested in doing good farming, but at the end of the time, there are others out there who are not doing anything in farming and just waiting until production of the people that are doing the farming come to its best, and then to just go harvest it and making money from the people's farm. No, that is not right. We need security based on those things. Security for the farmers, then produce from those who would just come, take them and go to the market and sell them, or on the street or wherever. And we have to, the people that are buying those food from those people, they are supposed to catch up on themselves and avoid buying
young people that have the ideas.
Let those people go to work. Let them go and find work for them to do. Let them go and plant a farm so they will know exactly what hard it is.
Everybody outside, man, supposed to
go through and have a production that
What?
they of themselves could
Yes,
come
yes.
take it and go.
Yes,
They can
and
have a fortune out of it. I don't have much more to say, that's all.
What's that? Okay. No, yeah, that's a very good point. Because when we can start, we could have data.
Okay, so that problem of
Come
fidelity
on.
has always been a chronic thing in Marigot. Recently, when it was Prime Minister, it had ceased. But now it is on the rise again, and people are coming from
Yes.
different areas. They're renting vehicles
I have
and they're doing the
I'll
damage.
just-
So when you think it's
You
Marigot,
writing? You get your paper?
sometimes people
You
come
not writing
elsewhere.
nothing? You got paper?
In terms of agriculture, let me just explain briefly what we're doing. Peter, Alfred, and myself, and a couple of the guys,
What just
we're
paper
putting
pen?
a company together so that we can bring in agricultural seeds, vegetable seeds. So, for example, there are some companies in Roseau that import a whole container of carrots, a container of cabbage, container of beet,
You
and
need
we're
the
hoping
pencil,
that we
sir?
can provide that kind of technical
You have
service
the pen?
and provide them with the seed, and that they can do an acre of carrots, 1 acre of beet, 1 acre of cabbage, that we can fulfill
You want to get
the
something, write
demand for
something?
those produce in Dominica. So we register the company and we call it MAMA,
Yes, yes. You will be able to
MARMA,
write something.
meaning Marigot Marketing Agency, abbreviated MAMA. I will provide some educational training for the members.
You must have something to write, man.
We'll
Yeah.
provide seeds. I will provide a little bit of credit for those farmers
You
who
want
seek
to
it.
write something to develop.
Mrs. Edwards is asking me to
Exactly.
lead on
Talk
the,
about the
area in
challenges you are.
agriculture.
Yeah.
Let me just say something we did about 40, 25, 50 years ago. We had run an exhibition in this school and we had showcased 100 products from bananas, including banana malt, banana raisin, banana flour, and we had run the feasibility on those with Sister Nats. And we're hoping to implement it probably when we set up the bakery. Sister Nat was one of the projects that we were supposed to set up in Marigot to produce all of these products from bananas. And we had a good prospect for banana malt. That was a major product. Banana malt, malt from bananas. But then the government had become a little hostile and that project didn't come off the ground. Here in Marigot, we had done the bakery and financed by the credit union, so that came off the ground. But Sister Nat was hoping that we'd use the government to get free money, but there's nothing like freeness. So those are some ideas that are being tested and worked through the lab in Roseau. And we had the exhibition here at Marigot a couple of years ago, probably about 20, 21 years ago. You know, so there's prospect in agriculture. But what we have to do is to diversify into agriculture and diversify into a product. So for example, we can take bananas, instead of exporting it, we can send our best premium fruit out to capture the foreign exchange, but we can make all of these products from bananas, and that is diversifying into bananas. Or we can do the same for several other products, okay? Or several other vegetables. There's a very good project by Jason using CMOS and other fruits. I helped him develop that project. So you could blend CMOS with beet, CMOS with carrot, CMOS with mango, CMOS with carambola, and we come up with a whole range of products. The market is available because people are bringing in ton loads of somebody said poison, but ton loads of Buster and other kinds of soft drink from Trinidad. In Dominica, the drinks are made from the purest mountain spring water. In Trinidad, it is made from recycled water. Sewage water that is recycled and no, not shit water. Water that has been recycled, okay? So we can do better. And we can sell those juices in the schools. I think we have about 55 primary schools and about 15 secondary schools. and we can sell those drinks to those areas so that our children can be a little healthier than they are at this moment. Okay? The other thing about agriculture is that we have a fisheries complex. The investment there is about $45 million, and it's totally underutilized. And the people who are managing it, they do not know much, and they think they know. But they're not managing the thing they want to control, because everybody figure there's some kind of little god. But we could utilize boost. Boost is a fish that is caught in Marigot here in large quantities, and they just thrown away for $5. So you get free boost for $5. Now you could prepare the boost, and you could pass it through a little machine, not much processing, and then you could have your little celery, parsley, and some other herbs added to it, and you could make fish burgers, you know, make the fish product that we could utilize for fish, for burgers, instead of using meat, imported red meat, that give our people all sorts of cancer and disease. There's a very simple exercise in terms of dehydrating plantains. One of my nieces was doing it, and I told her, well, you need to upgrade. And it was selling well at Naziro, and it was selling well in Wesley. Everywhere she carried at the airport, it was selling well. But to think a little bigger, the machinery for doing that is just about $3,000. And the product will sell. But we export our plantain from Dominica to Antigua, and the Antiguans are doing the same thing, and they're exporting it to Europe as a product from Antigua. You know, we're importing plantain chips from Central America and Santo Domingo, and we're enjoying it here. I don't mind Jamaica, but we're importing it from South America and other parts. You know, so we can do those things here, and our agricultural produce are among the best in the world. For one reason, the soil. And we have a pathologist here, Dr. Defoe. She is at Wesley. She's a brilliant doctor. She's a research scientist, and she came here and she loved the island, and she started producing ginger and ginger products and herbal products and exporting it. She has tremendous amount of technology. So agriculture can have a boost. What we need to do is to set up the organization. If you had to set it up from scratch and to begin to project what we want to do. We cannot depend on government. Since I small boy, I am government. And I reached 3 scores, close to 96. And government is still a problem. So why should we wait on the government? The other day I was in the hospital. I could have gone to meet my maker, but he sent me back. And I bring in the news. We don't have to depend on government. We can do what we have to do. But intelligent meetings like this is what we need to hold. For people coming to the meeting and refuse to come inside, they're cowards, shouting and screaming and cursing dirty words outside. That's not good enough. We have to come in and sit down like gentlemen and ladies and begin to discuss matters intelligently. We can't behave like Trump. We can't behave like Trump. You know? Any questions on agriculture? But agriculture is our bedrock. For example, there is a thing that we call toloma. We can convert toloma into a resin and then into a sort of plastic type material, and we can use it for bottling our soft drinks and our juices. And when you finish utilizing it, you can just chop it up, add a little molasses to it, and you can feed your animals with it. Totally bio-friendly and environmentally friendly. I proposed that project for my group former teacher at at the University Center, Bernard Wilshire. And he was running with that at Cassidy's, but he failed. And Coca-Cola, Gabriel wanted to take on to buy. He said, just produce it and he'll buy all of it. So there's potential in agriculture. There's potential in the crops that we're doing, and we just have to pick the idea. And don't you believe that a white man will come from England to do it for you? No. You have to do it for yourself. You have to do it for yourself, and we can do it. We started credit union with 0 from pennies, and it's now 70 million. We started the first village council in Dominica, in Marigot. And that's our great-great-grandfathers, that started the first village council probably in the OECS, but in Marigot, the first village council in Dominica. So if you have no more questions or you have no questions, I just raise these ideas for you. I'll pass over to Annie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Man with many ideas. So as I said earlier, we have recorded all this information and it will be transcribed and put in a proper format. So basically we have touched economic development, tourism and culture, youth and education, agriculture. I spoke about environment and community and climate resilience already. Community, infrastructure and housing. Any ideas on how we can help? I don't know. It's really bad to see this situation with so many homes in Marigot. Do we have any ideas on how we can approach that? If it's just a situation where you have to get assistance from government or face the bank, that might be anybody in a situation like that where they just cannot move on because their home is not. I know there's one person, she told me since Hurricane Maria, she has been struggling to build a home. She managed to do a small structure, but she's still struggling to build other aspects of it, like the washrooms and so on. People are really going through rough times, And as was said earlier, we cannot just bury our heads and hope and hope. We have to start talking about it and working towards some kind of resolution. So our event was supposed to run from 6 to 8, so we have to start winding down. We have to start winding down. Is there anyone who has anything else to say before we kind of close up? Anybody who didn't say anything? Chairman of the council, person who wants to be chairman. Yeah, the election is coming up soon. And you will know a lot of things, Peter, you will know a lot of things from the perspective of the village council. I've been going around with Peter and he knows everybody. He knows all the issues. He knows everybody who needs help, who is suffering. This is really a kind-hearted person that has the interests of Marigot at heart. So I wouldn't want to leave without you saying something. Yes.
Good evening once more. I really love this. I shouldn't say I'm talking on behalf of the council. I'm going to talk personally myself. One of the things I think we should do in Marigot is dealing with the aged people, the elderly. There's a need to really put some work with them, housing, medical, transportation, cleaning up the property. There's a lot of work to be done in that field. The other thing I see that is needed more again is road works. Drainage is very important, and we are doing some work on that too, for the council. Thirdly, I think the new council that is coming in is to bring in unity in Marigot. Unity is from the workers' people, the blue, the red, the yellow, the orange. Everybody come together under one umbrella and let's build up Marigot. Okay? Thank you. You got the mic.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. I want to just say a few things. You know, I served on the council for the last 3 years, and one of the things I noticed that is, you know, we need to get, you know, active or serious with is our garbage disposal systems. Because persons are not really careful of what we do with our garbage. This, our community, sometimes will say, you know, I don't want to really use the word that Marigot is nasty, but our persons are very careless when it comes to our garbage, you know? So I think that's one of the areas that we have to look into as, you know, as village council, and even you, when it comes, you know, to make sure that this area is very important, because, you know, if you look at, you know, if you have garbage all over the place, you'll have rodents, rats, you know, your home can be very, you know, because rats will come in at night. You know, you might not you know, do not know, but rats will come in at night because they see the garbage system is inviting rats. And another problem again, I noticed, another thing again, area is our roads. Our roads. You know, I mean, without roads, you can have no development. You can't go anywhere if you don't have good roads. Persons have their, you know, even though I notice areas where people, you know, persons are living in the community, and, you know, the area where they live, they can't even leave their home sometimes because the road is so, you know, badly depreciated. So that is one of the areas that there's two areas, the garbage and the road system in the community. Okay, that's what my contribution tonight.
Thank you very much. Very good. Come. But yes, but one thing I'd like to say, Marigot is a rural community. I think we should come up with a project to do more recycling of our garbage. Huh? Yes. Yes.
Plastic bottles.
Oh, the recycling. Maybe we need to do training program, because I drive around and it's really a lot of garbage, and we never had that before. I don't know where it came from. So I think we have become lazy when it comes to garbage disposal, and we need to think about what we can do to change the thinking of people, the mindset of people.
Okay. Hi everyone, good night. I was just thinking, as Andy said about garbage, the plastic bottles, I think we need to have, maybe we get together as Marigot people and develop a recycling process for ourselves. Because these bottles, it costs a lot of money. And if you go picking them up, this is garbage, this is money in itself, because we throw away a lot of bottles. Maybe if there was a recycling center, that money could go back towards the village. Look at Mayfest. There was a lot of bottles all over the place. Even the what is it called? The shandy, the beers, everything. People don't even collect some of these, but plastic bottles do a lot of stuff. They make pens, they make a lot of things. So maybe that is something that we could look into, like a recycling center. You collect and you go and because I know in other places they have machines where you can just go and put it and you get your money. Because we have to save the environment, because look at all that we have happening there. We throw away everything and it just blocks everything and it just causes disaster. That's my thought. So maybe we could do something like that. Smiley, maybe you could have an idea on that. Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Willie. We have our pal rep here with us. We'd like to call on him to say anything he wants to say. Your pal, Anthony Charles. You have a lot to say.
I come as Tony. Good night, everyone. I come in the capacity as Anthony Charles, but I'll still say something. As Mrs. Edwards was drawing out some plans, and I alluded to her early on, it have some plans that was developed through Mr. Peter Alfred and Marigot Development Cooperative. These plans are being modified as times change. So you see all what you have there, they have that in a more comprehensive area. So you have to check in. Along with Debbie Blackman, they have some comprehensive plans, reports, projects, everything to the T. They have it. And the plan is tying on the Marigot Fisheries Complex, especially as it's being commissioned as a port of entry. So everything, before it was even commissioned, the plan was orientated around the fisheries complex, being that as the port of entry, which it should be by, let's say by August, that should be in full effect. But we are having a little, not a little, the main difficulty is the fisher folks. They are accustomed to their ways on the bay, and change is a hard thing that everybody do not accept change so easily. So what I would like the Marigot community, both here and on the media, is to advise or talk to the fisher folks on the bay, make them buy in to the project. They have to buy into the project, because when you have a port of entry, you have tourism, you have agriculture, you have small business, you have all the aspect being tied in the economical belt. That belt we have here, and we have all international airport is going to be built or finished in 2 years, whatever. So you're going to have a port of entry and an airport. We still have Melvin Hall. So all these development and all these plans is already there. So you just check MDC, you have Adler Hamlet involved also. You have Mr. Alfredia Pascal. You have all these key people. These plans they have written down. They have it. And as times have changed, they've been changing it. But it's already there. So to also build on it and to move it and adjust it based on the needs. But these plans, as you can see, these plans, everybody, as the public, I think the public is supposed to be sourcing funds from the government. But we won't forget about the public for now. You see the Marigot aspects, like how you get the grant for the tourism committee, the grant for Sunrise Sports Club. That is what I would love Sunrise to do. But next time, when you plan the meeting, make sure Sunrise will have no games in Roseau. They are currently playing a game right now. So they would have come and listen. That is why sometimes when you're planning meetings, it have plenty groups. You have the Sunrise Sports Club, you have Western Regions, you have Alvin with the football club, you have netball also. But these groups, they wouldn't really come in turmoil, but you can invite the managers, the secretary, and make them come and be present. And also, you also have the feeding programs that have been done in the village through the churches. Presently, we have 1, 2, 3 churches that are doing the feeding program for the shut-in. And technically, these things are being done. The church wouldn't really do it and take pictures and say they're doing it. Red Cross wouldn't take pictures and say they're doing it. And as we have Peter here, and we are approaching the hurricane season, Peter is on the disaster committee, among other members, and they are one of the committee who have a comprehensive plan for the area. So all these things, you have hurricane season approaching, they're working on that. You have Peter that's waiting for, and village council election is on Monday. We always have poor turnout on village council election. You have Peter, come by me. Come here, I want him to see you. You have Claire Bed Minister, I want you to come. Come please. Miss Gordon, don't make me call you. I want you to come. These are the 3. Come, I'll call the rest names. Come. For now. We have Imari Lewis, that's Vina Blasson. We have Nadisha Felix, that's Ken Fair's daughter. You have Wengut Williams. You have Brian Linton. And these are the other members who are going up for the Marigot Village Council. So these are the 3 who are present right now. So you need to go out, if you want them to represent you on the council level, go out and vote for them. So with the council, The council, sometimes people say council don't have say, but council have a lot of say. Council have a lot of say. Based on the policies that the government have in place, they have a lot of say. So we need the council members, although upon to them is a phrase, but you have to make a sacrifice for your community. When we were on council, we happen to be on council with Carter, Charles right there. We get the council in a time when Dominica was devastated by Maria. And at that time, we had to be a lot of run around, and then eventually I get it shocked. Up to now, government still owe me around $8,000. But anyway, the Carter had to use his jeep and run around. The chairman, Jeremy, have to run around. But council is a sacrifice. During hurricane, you have to go and pick up the shot in. Because council is not a talk thing. It's not a talk thing, it's volunteerism. And when you volunteer, you have to put your all in it. And when you put your all in it, you will technically lose. But if you do it to gain, you get to gain some respect that is not monetary. It's voluntary to build your community. And this is a thing. I think I was in our group with them. Yes, the tourism group that you created, we hold straight. Is when I became the parliament in tell me I'm told me there was no politics there. I said, okay, I will just listen. But this tourism group, we work with the council also. Sunrise work with the council. So we need your help. I work with Mr. Pascal, I work with Stacey as the parliament. We all work. And when it comes to working, you will not see me on the camera. I'll be in the background with you. I'll pick up the chairs before and I'll pick it up after. So with you, and when you call me, you know I do. Although you must have my chainsaw. But anyway, we need, I know everybody, yes, the government have money wasting, yes, it is that. But little do you all know, they have the money, but you have to go and ask them for it. That when I gave a figure, some people want to know how I get that money. Because I was able to get from the government over $250,000 passed through my hand. For health, for sports, for infrastructure, for road. But how it came is $5,000 there, 20 there. Some people say, oh, that is joke, that is pittance. But when I actually sit down and I add it up, because the last one was health, one person get a social security check of $22,000 to fix his leg. And next one get $11,000 from social security again to fix an eye. But the thing is that you have to go, you have to act like the biting minges, and you have to go to the government. You have to walk up 6 times. 6 times.
You may go 9 times.
Yes, I'll go 9 times. Because when I start something, I want to make sure you get it. Sometimes they not even answer my phone call. And afterwards I call them, they come right in front of me. But sometimes you have to be persistent. And they're not going to give the parliament $1 million to go and do what you want. Everything I come in, receipts, tapes, everything. So if Annie ends up beating me, you have to be on Annie. Because Annie, I'm going to warn you, you see social activities too, you have to walk up the step for it. You see carnival. Last carnival, I got $22,000. Carnival. You have to go up the step for it because people like the carnival is the annual thing. The year before I get 10. The other time I can remember doing it right written down somewhere. No, you have to always buy into certain things because once you're in there, you're realizing what the government sponsoring. And when I see the government sponsoring, I see, well, some of them will say, well, Tony, I get this, go and check so and so for this. So as the years going along, even though it's 5 cents, I want it. If it's 2 cents, you have to go for it because you want to bring these 2 cents Marigot. Because some people say sometimes, oh, you're not calling out the prime minister or the government. Sometimes my grandmother tell me a lot of people to say, don't say it. Just me. Sometimes I see the fight over the years and calling out some people not even making sense. Better to keep a deaf ear and try and get the chairs to come for the school. Try and get the fans to come for the school, because if you try and win that fight, because I'm just an individual. And imagine an individual for 3 years bring out $250,000 in a year. And the years to come, you just have to be persistent and come with something concrete. I can just come and say, and you want $5,000. What that mean? You have to come, if Annie wants something from health, she has to come with a doctor advice and say, okay, look, so we need to buy in. Yes, the government of the day is Dominica Labour Party. Dominica Labour Party is there. Obviously, the parliament have to work with Dominica Labour Party to get something for Marigot. So when we, as the parliament, we have to buy in, okay, they want to sit down. We have to buy in certain projects. No, all you don't want meeting, all you like meeting. If you turn the camera running, and show all you like meeting. If you turn the camera, if all you turn the, I don't call you no meeting. If all you turn the camera, all you see why all the whole meeting. No, but what? Okay, it's Annie meeting now. The thing is that Annie come and stand up by me. Let us see. Mrs. Edwards, I know Mrs. Edwards for a while. All was in tourism committee. So although we never really talk for a while, I carry almost in my house.
Yeah.
I know.
He transport.
I know, you know. I'm an old guy. You
know me.
I know a long time. Yeah. Oh,
you see, I'm not from Marigot.
No, I know you from Marigot.
You are even my cousin.
Yes, remember, I'm old. I'm not young. And I've been on the road a long time. But, Carrie, I have a question for me. Oh, you want to say? Okay. So let me wrap up with that. Yes. We just have to work with one another, see what we can get, wherever we can get it, and begin Marigot. Simple as that.
All right.
Oh.
Okay. Good night again. I want to say something in reference to the commission of reports. Project management teach you in everything there's also stakeholders that push and pull. And in the commission of reports, I heard PAREP advocate for the community to, they're getting a pushback from the fishermen. I have a different view. The port is not just for the fishermen, it's for the communities. Whoever is responsible for commissioning the port, who is leading, whether it's DASPA, they have to do more stakeholders analysis. Because the community don't have an idea, because that was 25 years ago a port was commissioned. And now it's going to be implemented. You cannot just start, and you have to go back to the community and educate and resensitize the people, and to see if they still have a need for a port. Some people may take me up to task. But remember, 25 years has passed. 25 years have passed. We have to not just, if the stakeholder analysis is not just for the fishermen. The community needs to know what is going on as well. And I saw they have some meeting, and it was maybe targeted for just the fishermen. What about the community? What about the people there? So we don't know, nothing is going on about what is a port. And why are they? Well, I'm not talking about what they don't have. I'm talking about the stakeholders analysis that you all have to keep. With who? And you're talking about buy-in. The community also have to buy in into the port. Right? Because it's the communities that are going to be utilizing the port. And if they don't understand what is going to happen on the port, how can they buy in? No, I'm not talking about the committee. I'm talking about the stakeholders analysis. You're asking the community to encourage fishermen to buy into the project. I cannot encourage fishermen to buy into nothing when I don't know what I'm encouraging them to buy. No, I'm talking about what we need. We need stakeholders analysis. We need to understand what is really happening. And what I need to say again, I see the heading say commission of fisheries into a port. I don't understand. Okay? So that is why the stakeholders, people can come to the forums, ask their questions, and you can explain why are we getting the pushback. Pros and cons. Okay? You come up and you advocate, you ask. So I'm now telling you the other way to go about it. Do more analysis so then all of us can buy in and not just the fishermen. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That's a good point. From my project management, I know that the stakeholders are very important, and the main stakeholders here are the fishermen. So probably they have not been consulted enough. Okay, so if anybody else has anything to say, or okay, so if there's no more, if there are no more persons willing to say anything, I circulated a form, so if you don't want to speak, you just put your suggestions on the form. We'll be collecting them in a while. So this basically brings us to the end of our main segment. At this point, the follow-up will be that, as I told you, this is being recorded, so we will get the notes out of it, and what the information that you wrote will also be added to it. And obviously, I've already been told by some of you here that we need to have a follow-up meeting. So, yes, but at least give us the rest of the June so that we can, put our information together. The last item on the agenda is for Peter, Peter Thomas, who is a member of the Village Council, to just explain to you all about the process in Marigot for reconfirmation and or registration. Because key to this is votes. If you don't register or re-register, you will not be able to vote. So the law is here, you have to do that. So Peter, come on to just explain to the people.
Good evening again. Registration and re-registration or confirmation. Registration procedures. Somebody have to be 18 and above to register and should be a resident of Marigot or the place where they live. So if you have a child or somebody that is above 18, or Joel, I suspect you to register. But you're watching me too seriously. And Joel, you register? Oh, well, that's good. Huh? Not yet. Not yet. So you're registering somebody, then the procedure is you go to either the council or to the library area. There's two places to do that process. The library area or the council area. In doing so, then you will keep your documents. Yes. But okay, people that goes to the library area, people from Sam's Gutter, Over Gutter, Monkey Hill, Malatatong, West Flat, Over Gutter. That goes to Wes. Where you live again, Kata? Malatatong. Malatatong. So you go to the library area and walking for documents. If you're going to register, you walk with your passport or your birth paper, which is very important, your birth paper, your passport, and you bring somebody to identify you as Carter Charles or Kerry Charles, which is very important. So you bring someone as a witness to know that you are such person. If you are confirming, that means you are registered already and you're on the list. The list is there, but we have a lot of dead people name on the list still. My mother died around 30 years ago, and I saw her name on the list yesterday. Her name is still on the list. My father passed away maybe 3 years ago, but his name is still on the list. And he left Marigot maybe 20-something years, went back to Benz. His name is still on the list. So we need to check on those things. So you go to re-register or reconfirm. You go with somebody that knows you also,
your identification card, which will be your passport, or driver's license, or your social security. You bring this thing with you to identify you. Now, if somebody was 20 years ago registered and they were Matthew before, and now they are Joseph, now they are married, you have to bring your marriage certificate from the register. Have copy to identify that you are married from Matthew to Joseph. Some people use, if it's Karen, Matthew, Joseph, or just go straight to Joseph. But you have to make sure you bring some form of document saying that you're married. The one from the register. Okay, the hard copy. Nothing like these were written 20 years ago. They will not accept that. The birth paper that you have 50 years ago under your pillow, they will not accept that. The new one that is there, digital one that is there, the modernized one. So make sure you have that and you go to either the library area or the council area to do your registration. We getting there? Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. If you bring in somebody to witness that you're such person, they have to be in the area that you are voting. So if somebody is going to register at the library, you bring somebody that is within that area. If you a birth paper. So if you don't have a birth paper or ID, there's a form here that we could fill in for you, and we could bring it into the registrar and get your birth paper for you. Make it easier for us. At present, I think they're waiving the $20. It is free. So earlier you do it. And I will tell us, we only have up to October to do that. If it is possible, they keep saying, if it is possible, they might go up to December. But if there is a need, election might call even before that. So you need to register. Okay? So you go and do your registration as soon as possible. Bring out your children, your grandchildren. I know some people say they're not voting for A, B, and C, but you need to register. Your voice will be heard when you register. If you don't register, you can't have a voice. So reconfirm and register. A lot of children will be leaving school soon. They'll be 18 and above. Bring them to register. So the numbers will be counting. From how many people we have in Marigot now? 1,005? From 3,002 we go down to 1,005? Oh, people are going down very much. Mr. Burnett? Yeah, the population is a bit small. So I just stressing on that. Okay, Mr. Roberts? I think you're registered already? Not yet? Okay, so let's make an effort within that period of time, the month of June, July, and let's go and register our people and reconfirm our people so as soon as possible, so we know exactly how we stand in Marigot. While we might be saying A, B, and C, and we not register or reconfirm, we cannot vote. So one election call next month, we only have 50 people that register in Marigot. How we stand? We just stand nowhere. So let us go and confirm and register our people. Much said, much is given. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, so this brings us to the end of our very successful meeting tonight, right? Everybody, I'm thankful for the number of you all who came out here. It shows that everybody here has an interest in the development of Marigot. It's not anything about, just sit back and wait. We have been waiting for umpteen years and nothing is happening. So we know this is the start of us taking control of things and finding ways and means to get what we want done. So I just want to, once again, thank you all for coming and say that the work has just started. We have a lot more to do, but once once there's a will, there's a way, and we will get it done. So that's it. Thanks for coming, and to everyone. Oh yes, and also I want to thank the number of many persons who are online looking at the program. We are very thankful that you came in, that you logged in. It's not too late for you to send your information. If you want any information that was circulated here tonight, that was discussed here tonight, you could always contact me, send me a message via messenger, and I will find a way for you to whether give you my email address or my telephone number. So once again, thanks for coming, and go home safely. Oh yes, and we do have some snacks there, so help yourself before you leave. Huh? Yeah, the snacks are there right now. Thank you. Okay.